Educational Communications and this station present Environmental Directions with Nancy Pearlman. On this series, we explore the effects of human influence on the Earth's ecosystems and discuss solutions to environmental problems which affect the quality of life on this planet. Environmental Directions gives you the kind of information you need to help you participate in decisions impacting your community, the nation, and the world. Now, here's your host, Nancy Pearlman.
Hello. We are going to be talking about reducing emissions in fossil fuels, the fuel additive industry, and plant-based and toxic-free lubricants with my guest, Rand Taylor. He is CEO and co-founder of Industrial Sustainable Group, also known as Fuel Ox. He is skilled in chemical fuel additives, securities, asset management, equity trading systems, large organization management, and business-to-business. He has been the Senior Vice President Director of Trading Night Trading Corporation and has received the National Sanitation Foundation Institute's certification. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
No, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Nancy.
I'm excited to learn more about the change from the current toxic lubricants and additives to non-toxic ones. What exactly is the problem? How serious is this pollution from combustion engines, from the items that go into our fuels?
It's the entire industrial industry, and quite often we like to pigeonhole issues and talk about just, say, the hydrocarbon emissions that are coming from fossil fuels, when in fact the issues are much greater than that, and they're much more widespread than just what comes out of a combustion engine. What we focus on is the industrial society as a rule and all the things that go into a successful large industrial operation. Everything from machinery, of course engines, and everything in between, that we focus on making things cleaner and more efficient. Generally speaking, just improving everything way beyond what's out there now. I think one of the big problems right now isn't just emissions, which it is a huge issue, but we also have a huge problem with metals, and heavy metals in particular, that have gotten into our environments, our environmental systems. And a lot of those can be removed or can be avoided if we use better processes and better products.
Right now, we have a serious problem about pollution from our equipment, from machinery, from whether or not it's industrial technologies or whether or not it's our cars and transportation technologies. So how do we make all this machinery more efficient with something called Infinity Lubes?
Well, Infinity Lubes is our new lubricant line that we brought on about a year and a half ago. And while we started the company with Fuel Ox, which is our fuel additive that has a combustion catalyst in it, that was our original product we started the company with 10 years ago, which you can use in any hydrocarbon fuel-based product, middle distillate fuels, which is gasoline and diesel in particular. We can treat those fuels and they'll burn much more cleanly and give you better fuel efficiency. So it's much better for the environment. But we were looking for something that we could bring on as well to attack the lubricant side of industry. And after about 5 years of searching, we found a product that we now call Infinity Lubes, and we own the IP on it, so you can't buy it anywhere else, because the guy who invented it is now our partner. And with what these are plant-based lubricants that actually treat the metal. So we're not involved with the normal conventional thoughts of lubrication, where you just want to throw some grease in there and you want to make sure that the metal doesn't hit very often, but yet, in fact, there is friction that exists in there. There's quite a bit of friction that exists in there, and things do wear out, and that grease will fall to the ground. That grease is often very toxic, and if it gets into the environment, or it burns up in vapors, and the vapors are very toxic. These are things that we were concerned about, and we found a product that actually treats the metal inside of the machinery so the metal is much harder, so it doesn't wear and it doesn't corrode like conventional metals. So not only do the parts last much longer, so you're not replacing parts all the time, which is a tremendous savings for both the user as well as the manufacturer and the world in general, but also you use a lot less of our product, and our product is 100% plant-based, so it's not toxic to the environment.
You mentioned that you have a very special plant-based lubricant that is unique unique to Fuel Ox. But how many other companies are out there that you're competing with that are trying to develop other kinds of fuel lubricants that are more sustainable?
There are lots of companies out there that are always trying to develop better products. But our product is unique, Nancy, because we've proven that it's literally many hundreds of percent better, adds hundreds of percent more sustainability than all the other products that are out there today.
We automatically assume when we hear plant-based products that they are better than the fossil fuel-based products. Yet that's not necessarily the case. For example, palm oil plantations are destroying the rainforest. They're cutting down rainforests and building plantations of one plant item. So what plants are you using and where are you obtaining them from, and are you not destroying the natural ecosystem?
Everything we make as a company comes from the United States. So it's all sourced right here.
It's from the agricultural fields?
For the lubricants, yes. And much of our lubricants are soy-based, but they have other things in their resins and other natural, biological, plant-based products. We're not tearing down things to make things, and many of these things are found in their natural state.
Where do you manufacture this product?
These are all manufactured here in the United States. Our lubricants are primarily manufactured in Ohio, and our fuel additives are manufactured in the Southwest, but we also have a couple other manufacturing sites that are under construction at the moment and under development, and we expect that we'll have other locations in the United States open soon because we're going to have to start making more of this stuff.
Whenever I interview a company that's created a new product, I feel obligated to ask how sustainable your entire operation is. Not just the product, but are your factories making sure you're not polluting the air, the water? Are you using solar energy? Are you using recycled material? Are you helping create native plant habitat around your facilities?
Those are great questions. We've been so focused on bringing this product out to the general public. Unfortunately, we probably haven't spent as much time working on the things around the office and our plants as we should have, although we're very cognizant of the environment and taking care of it, keeping everything as clean as possible. We've never had any issues with any kind of leaks or spills or anything like that. We do use everything that's all American made. I have gotten rid of a couple of Chinese suppliers in the last couple of years. But other than that, yeah, we try every day to make things better. We changed our light system and things like that to make them more sustainable. But this is an ongoing issue for us, particularly as we grow. The more we grow, the more we're going to have to bring these types of thoughts into our planning. And you hit the nail on the head, though. These are things that we have to do.
You're U.S.-based and you're creating a product for the United States market, but is it being used in other parts of the world?
We have a tremendous amount of business that's taking place outside of the United States. We get calls every day from all over the world. We had a call from Ethiopia the other day. We have people that are selling our products in the Middle East. We have people selling our products in Africa. We have people selling our products in Asia. We're not everywhere, but we have our tentacles starting to wrap around the world because people really actively want products that work. They want products that reduce emissions. They want products that are more environmentally friendly. If you have a large operation and you can treat your diesel fuel and reduce your emissions by up to 60% and get 5 to 10% better fuel efficiency, these are not only big money savers, but they're fantastic for the environment. And that's what we're seeing.
Explain how Fuel Ox, which is concerned about sustainability, wants better fuel efficiency, fewer emissions, how you reduce all the emission gases, because I don't understand all of these. C2 to NOx to DPM, which are diesel particulate matter, to COs to H2S and SO2s. That's a lot of terminology. What does that really mean?
So when you're talking about fuel combustion, which now we're going to jump back into the fuel side and look at the fuel. First of all, what you're looking at primarily is gasoline and diesel. Okay, those are the two main fuels that are used throughout the world and definitely here in the United States. When they combust in a combustion engine, they actually light on fire and explode in a controlled environment. And by doing so, your pistons will turn, your camshafts and your drivetrain runs, and your vehicle moves forward. Okay, so that's how these things work. What happens is when they burn, they change in their state from the liquid, the fuel, into a gas. By changing the state from liquid into gas, there are many gases that are put out by your engine in the form of the exhaust. What is interesting is that what you see, the black part of your exhaust, or the dark part of any exhaust, is really 99% of the time nothing more than unburnt fuel. So essentially what you're doing is while you've burnt most of the fuel, a certain amount part of it does not get burnt, and it comes out as blacks. And you'll see that with diesel trucks in particular, or heavy equipment.
I'm surprised that they haven't developed the systems to be sure that we burn all that fuel.
Well, instead what we've done is, quite honestly, there have been major advancements in the making of these engines. They are much more efficient than they have been in the past. The other area they've concentrated on, when I say they, I mean the industry itself, particularly here in the United States and in Western Europe, is on putting filters on the exhaust to catch the fumes and the unburnt fuel, or soot as most of us refer to it, to catch all that before it goes out the tailpipe. That's why, and California has been leading the way in this. It's called Tier 4 engines, and these Tier 4 engines have these diesel particulate filters on them, as well as what they call SCRs, which actually remove the NOx fumes. They're really the most powerful greenhouse gas, is the nitrous oxides, or NOx, and they catch that as well. So you have these systems out there that are very good at reducing the emissions, which is why, I mean, you're in the Los Angeles area. I remember flying into Los Angeles 20 years ago, and it was just a bowl of brown.
It was worse when I grew up driving into Los Angeles. You could really see the difference. We have made some improvements, but we obviously need more, and that's what you're involved with, trying to be sure that we make our equipment more efficient. Explain this MTBF. You want to extend the mean time between failures, which dramatically extends the life of machinery so that we reduce replacement costs of parts.
I love that. MTBF. I think you're the first person in an interview that's actually asked me about MTBF.
I like to be the first.
Well, you certainly are, and it shows you've done your homework. Mean time between failures. That is the way you judge a piece of machinery and how well the lubricant that you're lubricating the machinery with is working. The longer that time frame between when you start using a piece of machinery or a part and when that machinery or part fails and you have to get a new one, that's your MTBF. That's your mean time between failures. And if you do that for a piece of machinery and you have to, over 10 times, you have to replace it once a year, your MTBF is 1 year. Okay, sometimes it's less or more. I'm just using that as an example. So a good lubricant will extend your MTBF. Good lubricant will make that part last longer. So instead of lasting a year, maybe it lasts 2 years or a year and a half. If it's a year and a half, you've increased it by 50%. And these numbers are very big when it comes to saving money, particularly in heavy industry and in large companies. These guys who run these manufacturing companies, factories, mining companies, trucking companies, they all know what their MTBFs are for most of their equipment. And they know that if they can extend those, that's a real money-saving issue for them.
The Biden administration expects to, as a rule, to require EVs to make up 67% of new vehicles sold by 2032. How do you see this increase in electric vehicles helping with products like yours, which are to make machinery more efficient and less polluting?
I look at them as two different issues. I don't see them as being the same issue. And here's why. First of all, for me, I tend to be a pragmatist. And I look at that 60% by 2032, and I don't think it's possible. In fact, I don't think it's even remotely possible. For us to do that as a country, the infrastructure improvements that would have to take place would literally not only be trillions and trillions of dollars, but would have to be going on immediately for any kind of those deadlines. And I don't see it happening either way. So on the other hand, our lubricants are great because you can use them in any kind of vehicle and any kind of machinery there is. It doesn't matter if it's a combustion engine or if it's EV. You still need lubricants. There's other issues involved. We look at the diesel in particular, which is really the choice of fuel for big industry, we look at this as not going away anytime soon, certainly not by 2032. Regardless of whether it takes till 2032 or 2062, there will be alternative fuels that will come to light, whether it's EV or hydrogen or something else. The search for clean alternative fuels is in full gear, and something is going to come out of it. There's already things coming out of it that are very interesting. But in the meantime, diesel fuel will be the fuel of choice because of the wallop that it packs as far as energy goes. Nothing else that's out there like it right now. And also the availability. What we need to do is find a way to burn it cleaner so it doesn't hurt the environment. These things are also improving. Let's not ignore the fact the steps that have been taken to burn fuel more cleanly and fossil fuels more cleanly have come a long way and are continuing to improve. What we see is ourselves with FuelOx as a stepping stone technology. So we're helping the transition in the meantime.
And we certainly need that transition. How do people get more information?
If you want to learn more about us, you should go to fuelox.com, FUELOX.com. We have an active Facebook account, but also, which I think is interesting, is where we have about 200 testimonials and videos and so forth on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and just put in FuelOx, all one word, FUELOX, you can get a lot more information there as well.
It's wonderful work that you're doing. Regardless of the technology that we're going to have, we certainly will still need the lubricants and clean, non-polluting lubricants for all of our equipment. Thank you so very much for letting us know about the innovations in this field. Thank you for being my guest.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been great to be here.
I have been speaking with Rand Taylor. I'm Nancy Pearlman. Thank you very much for joining us, and do tune in again next week.
If you would like free information about these environmental issues, go to www.ecoprojects.org or call 310-559-9160. Environmental Directions with your host, Nancy Pearlman, is a community affairs program of the nonprofit organization Educational Communications and this station.